Session of the day. When will the residential market turn around? And I've got a very full and packed panel over here, so it promises to be a very exciting session. And by the end of it, you won't find a place to sit, so I suggest that you grab a seat out there. So over the next half an hour or so, we are going to be talking to some of the top developers and builders of the region to find out what's really happening in the residential arena. Because what has happened is that a couple of years of a slowdown backed with a lot of confusion on the regulatory environment and of course very high cost of funds has created a bit of a tangle which the industry has not been able to come out from, and I think that is going to be one of the big focus areas of where the industry finds itself and what is going to happen on the residential front. So gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us on this panel, and I'm going to start off with Baman over here on my right, because we've been speaking Baman for a couple of years now. Every year I do this panel, so I have history to back me. But I am going to start by asking you, we come into this session and the summit with a very somber outlook on what is happening in terms of real estate and the residential market in particular. 200,000 unsold homes, a very, very dismal picture on the demand side. On the ground, what are you seeing as one of the key developers here? And, what is the picture that is emerging right now?
So, let's start with the history, right? When people start smiling about this industry, their smiles, their chuckles, they kept low. When people start wailing, the wailing is the loudest, right? So when you hear what you're hearing today, while I'm not going to say it's absolutely away from the truth that there is a little bit of a challenge to kind of reach out and, get your consumer, those companies that are getting the formula right are being able to actually get the interested customer. They are being able to identify segments that are their own, cannot be taken by anybody else. Each brand over a period of time, and when I mean brands, I mean people that have been around for a long time, have been following good practices, have gone ahead and continuously built value to themselves as well as to their brand in the market, are seeing that there is a consumer base which is entirely theirs, which doesn't go anywhere. Having said that, even someone like me was to buy a car tomorrow and I was told that there's a 5 lakh rupee discount around the corner. It could be a 1.5, 2 crore rupee car. It's human nature to wait that out. So when all newspapers will only scream about saying that, home prices are going down, people tend to wait. The only difference between a car and a home is that when you're out to buy a home, if you're not an investor that is, if you're out to buy a home, home is where the heart is. It has to appeal to you. And once something appeals to you and you wait, it is like, perfectly the making of a perfect storm.
Sure.
You let go the home, you're going to every time, put your expectation against what you last saw. You will soon start regretting rather than relishing the fact that you let it go. So the point with homes is you create something, the developer creates something, he adds value to it. Today developers are moving more and more towards giving their niche consumer a total experience. When you go to a developer, let's again look at history. 15 years back, you had developers who you went to, you purchased a home, and you only saw the developer at the end of the day, that too if you were lucky. Today, at every step of the way, there's a customer service executive that takes you through step by step on what the homes are.
Differentiation is the name of the game, and I think in tough times, differentiation is what, and the brand keeps you alive. But I'm going to, look at the current picture, and Umang, let me start off with you. When you talk about 200,000 unsold homes in the MMRDA region, what you're essentially saying is that there is a problem where demand and supply are not matching, or perhaps the demand is not where the supply is. What is the situation on the ground, and what are the ramifications of this big pile-up going to be on the industry for this year?
If we look at the entire Mumbai city region, which is up to the suburbs of Borivali or Mulund and Thane, the occupancy or the absorption is quite high. We don't see this 2,000 flats, 200,000 flats, what we see as a stock being piled up. Basically, if you have sustainable development, sustainable product size, you will be passing through the downturn very fast. But if you have a lot of aspirational model, aspirational sizes, aspirational pricing, then I think this is a time when people are going to expect discounting. So it's the developer and the choice of the developer vision and the company vision,
Sure.
what kind of a development you would like.
But Nainesh, obviously these 200,000 houses do exist, right? Or do they exist in different stages of development when you talk about an inventory pile-up?
Since we are talking statistics, let me actually bring some statistics on table. We were fortunate to do, as MCHI, a joint report with JLL. And the report says that 1.13% is the stock readily available. When we say ready means where the occupation is there. So if the buildings are getting built, today there's only 1%. And if I talk about under construction, it's only 3.7% stock documented where every single building is mapped by JLL. Every single inventory is recorded. So I think what is not able to come out in papers, because instead of actual substance everybody wants to sensationalize, is something which maybe the delivery may never come up. Those are the delivery which are only on paper. Those are the deliveries which will take longest times. So actually that is absolutely not the case where there are 2 lakh homes which are available. Because if that's the case, even a single registration would stop. Whereas I'm sure everybody sitting here would see that July month has been in fact one of the best months that we have seen in last 5, in this year, in this calendar year.
Okay. Hi, Sandeep. Naveen, let me come to you. Are you seeing the same picture? Are you saying that a lot of the problems on the unsold inventory front, and because 5 months back we did a series where we saw 700,000 unsold inventory pile up across the country. Now, a lot of the problem was in the MMRDA region. Now, when you say that, the finished product is only a very small proportion of it, what are you saying? Are you saying that a lot of those projects out there which are unsold are actually at different stages of very preliminary stages of development, but it also has a ramification on the builders who have got stuck projects over there?
So while taking up from what Nainesh said, we have projects at different stages of development. What we have seen is projects which are coming close to possession. There is sale happening without any pressure on us. People are looking at more certainty. People are looking at projects which will get completed. So if at all there's a project which is going to get complete in 12 to 15 months, they are looking to buy that. They know that this project will get completed in 15 months. The issue is where the project is going to take 3 years. People are not sure whether that will get over in 3 years. And when prices are not going up, people say, let us wait, let it come up. So there are a lot of fence sitters which we know. They just want to see some kind of certainty, some kind of progress. So execution is key. So if you are executing your project, people are there to buy. It's just that people want to make sure that the asset will get built in some time frame.
Mr. Gorade, let me rephrase this question. I think the question is not how much unsold or sold there is, but really what are the ramifications of this on the real estate industry? Okay. Now, on one hand, we are saying that it's the completed projects are getting sold easily and finding customers easily. But we're also saying that it's a very small proportion that is actually complete, because what has also happened is that because of the delays and regulatory bottlenecks and the input costs are escalating, you have a lot of projects which have not been able to get completed. What is the damage over there? Because many of the real estate companies which are exposed to these projects are also highly leveraged. So how is this going to play out over the next couple of months?
Overall, if we see first of all, the numbers of the 200,000 apartments and all, if we really ground reality, what we did with MCHI, with JLL, that lock and key ready possession inventory is not the number which is being reported in the media by some agencies and all. Effectively, of course, the slowdown or whatever the market point of view is there, the delay in a project, and your question is about the developer's leverage and then the project. Overall, the span of the project, maybe a 10 acre of land or something, is a span that project cycle is 5 to 7 years. 2 to 3 years it takes to the permission sanctions, and you launch the project and do the construction in 2 or 3 phases.
Sure.
Overall, the situation is that gradually developer has to make up with the leverage and all. There would be some cost because of the delay, but that whatever leverages are there, it's a part of the project cost. Finally, at the end of the developer, some margin may affect. But otherwise, there is a definitely demand for the project. If once the permission sanctions are there, builder will be able to absorb the things and take it further.
Mr. Mohanani, do you think the industry will be able to shake this off? and get back to growth in a hurry? Or will this take time to really, untangle and ease up the pressure on companies?
So what I can see now, Mini, that there are two very important aspects which a developer, if he adheres to that: innovation and technology. Okay. Now, I'm not talking of product innovation. Each one of us is doing a good job, and that's a given. So the product is a given that you are doing the best. But I'm talking about innovation in consumer experience. So what are we doing to ensure that the consumer gets the best of experience?
No. My question is not that. My question will come to that, because that will be the road to recovery actually. My question is, what is the damage that has already been done on real estate companies if they have projects stuck? And how do you see the industry shaking this off and getting back to growth? Because right now what has also happened, and that's going to be my next round of questions, the new launches has slowed down considerably. And perhaps there is going to be an adjustment around that. So what I'm asking is, how do you see the next couple of months? When do you see recovery start, for instance?
See, each developer is going through a particular stress, okay? And each one of us is well prepared and understands the situation. The developer who is going to deliver, who is going to sustain this, is definitely not going to have that much of pain in the next maybe a year. So this whole process might take a year, but overall, Mini, I feel that all of us together, put together, are in the right place and at the right time, and we all are conscious developers focused on delivery.
Okay, and that is going to be the key. Sandeep, let me get you in here. Apart from the fact that there seems to be stress on the ground in terms of projects not completed and completion is just underway, the other problem seems to be the fact that because of a combination of leverage and high inventory, a lot of new projects have also been much slower, because real estate developers are trying to get their old projects off the ground. What can you tell us about the supply side of real estate, especially the MMRDA region?
So, coming back first, just want to recap a little bit. There is a little bit of fascination of real estate inventory. Every newspaper tends to carry unsold inventory on the front page, Ambit report, Knight Frank report. The similar inventory is being carried by motorcycles or by bikes or by infrastructure companies. Nobody will carry. They would have 10 months, 12 months, 18 months of inventory lying in their factories, moving to dealers. Nobody will carry this kind of inventories. But real estate seems to be a fascination in Mumbai market to show that there's a cycle going on. Of course there is a cycle, and Bombay real estate market has always gone through a cycle. So if all of us are going to deny the cycle, I think it's incorrect. Because every time there is a season when you go through an up market, and there is going to be a tough period in the market, and we are in a tough period of the market.
Okay.
Now, how do we come out of the tough period of market? We can, of course, discuss that at length. But why are we in the tough period of the market also? It is not because builders have increased their prices so high, which is your question, which you are asking us, why we are not able to cut inventory, why we are not able to sell. It's because, one, prices are really high in Mumbai. Secondly, is this prices only because of Mumbai builders trying to increase prices? No. It's been a purely, last time also I mentioned, a cost push. It's been incredible increases in premiums for the last 12 months, and with the new government being in, again the premiums have gone up by 20%. So I think the government thinks we are not in a downturn or anything of that sort. Inventories, whether they are in finished or whether they are in under construction projects, I think there is inventory. I mean, there's no doubt about it. There is a little bit of inventory. It is easier to sell finished products because there is a little less risk on completion, little risk. The person doesn't worry on his EMIs. And under construction projects, of course, are struggling today because a person is launching, pre-launching, pre-launching, so you never know what is actually the launch.
Sure. And
then there is a discount. So these are becoming very big issues in the market overall. And maybe to a certain extent, MCHI as a body is trying to regulate, trying to control these issues where we will launch. I think there are multiple factors today to say these things.
Absolutely, and I can almost feel the angst in that answer because it's very heartfelt, you see. We are not to blame for it. But having said which, I think the intention of this panel is not to say when prices are coming down, where everybody would like to know when prices are going to come down, if at all. But it's really about how does the industry come out of this tough spot that it has been in.
I want to just clarify on this. Prices coming down doesn't harm us at all.
No, it doesn't.
Please understand one thing. Our margins are fixed.
Yeah.
irrespective of anything, we are working at 18-20% margin. No builder makes more than that.
Absolutely. No, my question was that it's not just about prices, it's about how the whole industry will get back into a growth mode, because right now it's really balance sheet management mode because of the leverage that the industry has. Ashish, I'm going to come to you. You always have the most strident view at the end. But I am going to ask you a general question. In 2008, after the crisis of 2007-2008, when the prices and market had peaked and we corrected, the recovery was the factor of two things. One, where prices genuinely came down, and second, when interest rates started coming down rapidly, and then you saw a recovery happening. If we were to look at a concerted recovery, what is the trigger that could result in a recovery right now?
Look, what happened in 2009 is market overcorrected. It went down too fast, too quick, 50%. The base was very low.
Sure.
So the situation then is very different from now. Right now, I think the industry is facing, I think I'm a little bit more pessimistic than my peers and colleagues here, a systemic problem. It's a combination of leverage, sentiment, media, regulatory, interest piling up, denial, greed, arrogance, simply not accepting reality of what interest costs are or holding costs are. I'm talking mostly of the new developers, the second and third tier developers. But because that supply is in the market pre-sale, the perceived supply is so high that we're facing a sentimental crisis. So the only way I see us coming out of this, I could be wrong, is there has to be clean out. There has to be, some of the supply simply has to be cleaned out. It cannot be delivered ever. It's not that they'll be taken up by people buying it. Those projects simply be taken over by other developers. There has to be rationalization and total consolidation of the market. Probably at least 60 to 70% of them will have to exit or consolidate. And then once the balance sheets, and once the brands are consolidated, once the projects are streamlined, once we have more credibility in the industry as a whole, rather than a handful, 20 of us, then there will be overall sentimental improvement and a fundamental recovery.
Okay. Consolidation is a very key theme. I think that's going to be one important thing to watch out for, Baman. But what's keeping consolidation at bay? Why aren't we seeing consolidation? Because it's been one of the longest stints of a bad patch for the real estate companies in some time.
No.
Arrogance. Okay.
There is a certain amount of consolidation. You see companies are coming together to deliver projects and even launch new projects. You're seeing projects being taken over also. A lot of this is happening. But on the larger front, I think Ashish is absolutely right in saying that there has been a whole new type of supply that is coming into the market, and that supply is getting countered. I'll give you my own example. We're developing a 217-acre layout in Virar, where we're building about 20,000 homes. What has been delivered so far is 5,000. What is on the floor is 5,000. But when the numbers come to you, it's 20,000 apartments, right? And 10,000 or 15,000 of that being unsold. So this itself adds to the bad news. Given consolidation is a reality, it will take some more time, like Ashish has already mentioned, that some people are not going to be able to get over their financiers or the requirements of the financiers. Some people are just not going to be able to get over the fact that they've made a mistake and they should kind of resign on it. But sooner or later, time will take its toll and people will come together, and that's when I think you will see a lot more happening in this market.
Umang and Namesh, let me get your views in. One piece of the consolidation that is happening is really private equity players coming in and grabbing, either at the project level or the company level, stakes. We've seen some big stakes with Warburg, Temasek, Blackstone is another very big one. But my question to you is that giving a new lease of life to a lot of companies which are stuck, where perhaps they don't have the ability to really, you're passing on the mic, you don't want to answer tough questions. but really, is it the fact that you are getting at least a lease of life from the private equity guys?
My take would be twofold. One is these companies wouldn't put in money if they think they're too stuck. They are global experts. They would only put in money when they say they can make more money here.
Yeah.
So I think it's a good sign, whereas players like Warburg Pincus and who are global players putting in money. So it's a good sign for the industry. Second is, the only consolidation as such is happening is a forced consolidation. What we need to see as an industry is a business plan consolidation, where at the board level people say, yes, this is what I'm good at, this is how I need to do it. So actually, focus on consolidation as a part of a business plan instead of in a very ad hoc manner. Okay, there's someone knocking on your door, so you say, okay, what do you have to offer? Instead, while you do a fundraising, similarly, if you want to consolidate, do joint ventures, merge companies, it needs to be driven from the top.